right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Here in the CBD Business Accelerator and CBD Business Success Group, and my personal Facebook page too. I'm streaming this everywhere because this is a really amazing thing that we're going to talk about today. It's an email marketing course from Chase Dimond, who is the email marketing expert in my opinion. And I know I know a lot of good ones, but Chase is the best in my opinion. So not to knock anybody else, but thanks for joining us today, Chase, and really appreciate you jumping on.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate the kind words, and thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, we don't normally do these type of things like promoting people's courses, but I believe so much in you and your value that you provide that I had to tell everybody about this immediately when you told me you had a course launching about email marketing. Because especially, I feel like email marketing. Oh, here's Aaron. Hey, what's up,
guys.
Aaron?
How are
What's
you?
up, Aaron?
How are you, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So yeah, we just jumped in live, Aaron. I was just saying, I feel like email marketing is one of the most important foundations of any direct-to-consumer business, of course. And a lot of business owners ignore it, honestly. Even myself, when I have my own brand, I got my general, the email campaigns that everybody has set up, like abandoned cart and just general sequences, but I never went deep into it. And I think that's what your course can provide, a much deeper landscape for email marketing.
I completely agree. I mean, one of the big things that Chase really opened my eyes to is email was always a very important channel for direct-to-consumer marketing in general and direct-to-consumer entrepreneurship and building an e-commerce brand. But it was always kind of a passive play for me. It was like, oh, I'm going to increase my revenue by another 10%. I'm going to increase my revenue by another 15%. But then I met Chase and I heard that he was driving 20 to 50% at times of their company's or of a direct-to-consumer's company's revenue directly from email, which blew my freaking mind. And so any of the people that have been in the D2C world for a while now, they're realizing that Facebook and Instagram is becoming almost big brother, and that they're becoming so dependent on these ads channels that if for any reason their ads ever go down, or if they ever got kicked off the platform, or if the algorithm changes, their whole business is out of luck, and their revenue can be shot by an 80% revenue drop. And so what is really cool about learning from Chase through this process is what I've learned is the email can be kind of like your safety net to your brand, and without that safety net, you're really dependent on other people at the end of the day. And it's not really a viable way of running a company for the mid or long term.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. One time I met a guy, he's doing $4 million a year with his e-commerce company. And I was like, how often do you email your list? And he was like, never. And I was like, what? Like, you're leaving so much money on the table.
Totally.
And so, Chase, if you don't mind, tell us about your background. I know a lot of people know who you are that's watching, but if you don't mind telling us a little bit about who you are and what you've done in email marketing.
Yeah, so I'm just going to give you a whole background really quickly. So at the age of 13, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. I was sick for a whole year. So at the age of 14, I took it upon myself to teach myself guerrilla marketing. So that was sending emails to friends. That was calling friends' houses, right? That was taking out ads in the newspaper. That was, doing fundraisers and walks and all these types of things, right? A lot of guerrilla marketing, recruiting friends and asking them to bring friends and whatnot. So I spent about 2 years doing that and kind of figuring out everything I could as a young 14 to 16-year-old, trying to figure out how do we do this. And over the course of those few years, we were able to raise tens of thousands of dollars in fundraising and positively impact, hundreds to thousands of people. So that was my start in marketing. And then throughout college, I had to help my parents pay for my tuition. So I had 6, 8, 10, some kind of ridiculous amount of internships and jobs just to be able to pay for my way through school. And one of those internships, I found email marketing. In particular, at the time, it was cold email. And I just fell in love with the ability to scale this channel in a way that was one-to-one, but it really was one-to-many, right? If I was in your inbox and you happened to open my email because I had a great, subject line, or I had a really great preview text, and then you opened my email, I had your attention for 5 seconds, for 10 seconds, for 30 seconds, for a minute, depending on how good and intriguing my content is. So from there, I actually built and scaled an edtech platform that connected students at college campuses with others in their classroom. So that was one experience kind of with building audience and community through cold email. From there, I built an email travel series where the whole business was leveraging an email list to build a community. We scaled that to 500,000 people in 10 months, largely through cold email. And then fast forward to kind of what I do today. About 3 years ago, I made the transition from being kind of gray hat, black hat marketer in this cold email world to specifically working with e-commerce brands on their own list to help them drive further engagement and monetization. And today I run an agency. We have about 25 people on our team, work with about 50 clients. And we've done north of about $50 million in email revenue. So kind of full circle, long-winded. Went from kind of growth hacking, guerrilla marketing to cold email and building communities to now leveraging a lot of those skill sets to drive engagement and revenue for our e-commerce brands.
That is so cool, man. I think it's just awesome. At what point did you realize how much email could do for your clients? Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, we can push a campaign that brings a lot of revenue, but like, at what point were you like, wow, there's a replicable strategy here, and that brands should be doing X% of their revenue through email?
Yeah, so for me growing up, I was a huge fan of like the chive, right? Like any millennial kid or guy would like, right? Like the chive. And I had the opportunity in October of 2018 to start consulting for them and working with them, and just seeing like the power of like an 8-figure brand and being able to drive 7 figures every year from email, seeing like the engagement, the sharing, all those things. That to me really early on was this eye opener. So I ended up working with the Chivery for a year and a half, and ended up stopping with them pretty recently because I became a full-time dad and I stopped doing any consulting. But yeah, so for them being able to do $4 or $5 million a year from email is just like, holy smokes, like how is this even possible? This is insane.
Totally. That's awesome, man. And that actually brings me to a second question that's really tight, is like, one of the other misconceptions I had about email marketing early on is that you had to be a big brand with a ton of emails or a big email list, and you had to already be doing millions of dollars to make it a viable play for your company. At what level does email marketing make sense at the level you're doing it, which I think is just light years ahead of anyone else in the industry?
Yeah, so the way that I think about it, again, I think this is probably a little bit higher than most people need to do. We typically start working with brands that have a minimum of about 10 to 15,000 people already on their list. That being said, like, depending on what you sell, depending on the AOV, if you have 500 people on your list, if you have 1,000 people on your list, that's even a really good time to start, because a lot of the things that you're going to start with, for example, like the welcome series for non-buyers, you have a pop-up, right? People get onto your list. That's great content that again, it's never set and forget it, but that's great content that can kind of live and work for you, and you can kind of improve as your list increases and as it warrants you spending more time there, right? So say you set it up today, you have 500 people now, and over the course of the next few months, say your list doubles or triples, right? All those people have gone through it. You're probably going to see the power, because the welcome series typically drives a lot of engagement because people want that discount code. They want to know about your brand. They really want you to tell them like why you're different and how you're different. So yeah, I'd say it's as small as kind of 500 to 1,000, not 500,000. So 500 to 1,000 people is a great place to start.
Yeah, especially because if your business starts to ramp up and it goes fast, and then you're like, oh shit, I forgot, I got to get these email sequences. It's better to do it early on before the business starts to really scale up.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm such a firm believer in Chase's methodology that we're literally, so a lot of you guys know we started this new brand, Alani, that I acquired from a buddy of mine. And so I think, Matt, you probably mentioned it, but Chase had just come out with this course, which is like revolutionary across the whole email marketing field. And I'm surprised you actually gave so much information away, one, for that price, but two, in general, like it's really important stuff that it is really cutting edge, and it really does separate you out of the rest of the email marketing. So even marketers, so for you to give that information just to the general public like that for such a I think, what are you selling the course for? $749? Is that right?
Yep, $749. Yep.
Which is crazy. And anyone that's looking at these courses, typically even any comparable course would be $299 or $2,997 at least, and that would be a fair price. That would be a cheap price. Anyway, what I was saying though is with Alani is we've now taken Chase's course, which I got access to not too long ago, about a week and a half ago, and is now part of what we call our Lucid University, our internal team's university of learning content as they go into building and working on our brands. And so what's really cool is I don't have 5,000 email subscribers for Alani. I have probably 1,200, maybe not even that much, maybe 300, 500, something along those range. But what it allows for me to do is I'm able to put the sequences into place now, and we are scaling quickly. And every day as we scale, each of those sequences just starts to work better and better and better for us. And we're identifying the problems in those sequences early before it's a huge amount of subscribers that we're potentially doing harm to by having to tweak and optimize in real time with them. So I'm finding a lot of success in that regard, and I'm really excited to be able to have it implemented this early in my company throughout our growth phase. And so I think it's truly awesome. So first off, thank you for releasing it. It's great for the rest of us to have access to that kind of information.
Yeah, and there's just so many like slimy marketers out there. Like I come from more of a sales background, and like I'm not trying to knock the marketers out there, but like there's just so many slimy people out there. And so it's like I've never met you in person, but I feel like you're a brother. Like I trust you. Like just your word is so strong, man. When you say something, you really follow up, and you're just a man of integrity. And all your information and all the value you give is just incredible. So it's just like a rare breed in the industry, honestly. That's why I'm really behind you, man, and supporting you with this. And the course is amazing, people. If you haven't set up a complex email marketing system, which I'm pretty sure 95% of you haven't, you got to buy this course. Like it's just like 100%.
I bought it literally, I think the day you released it, if I'm not mistaken. It was the day or the day after. I texted Chase, I'm like, just bought it, done. it's that good. And I highly recommend that you guys get behind it. It's one of those things too. It's like in the CBD industry, there's so much more challenges that we're all dealing with that a lot of the traditional marketers don't have to deal with. The thing about email is it's a completely owned medium. And by owning your own medium, it's the only limitation to how effective you can be with it is really your knowledge of email marketing. And it's a huge opportunity to be able to leverage organic marketing in a niche that is really limited on opportunities. What have you seen on that front? Like I know, Chase, you've worked with CBD clients in the past. What are you seeing kind of with email marketing and CBD and cannabis and how they kind of pair?
Yeah, so without giving away their specific numbers, I actually had a call last week with a company. I think it's called Haraflow or Haraflow. Can't exactly pronounce it. They did a pretty successful, I think, crowdfunding campaign. They actually just got acquired by some, I don't know, larger shop or some PE shop. When I was talking to them, I was pretty impressed that about 60% of their current revenue today comes from email. So I think yeah, I think you mentioned this earlier, but for us on like traditional e-commerce, right? So apparel, skincare, accessories, you name it. I'd say typically like 20 to 30% is the average. We've got up to about 50 to 55% with a couple clients. But I think like in an industry like CBD and cannabis, it's really going to contribute to potentially half or more of your revenue, just because you're really limited in the other levers you can pull. So with other clients, the more that they spend on top of the funnel, the more that email increases as a dollar amount, but typically the less that it contributes to as a percentage, right? Because as they're spending way more, the ceiling kind of increases on revenue there. But email doesn't kind of play up as quickly. It kind of is a little bit more of a lagging channel, but then it will contribute. So I think with CBD and cannabis, it's a massive channel to contribute to a significant amount of your guys' revenue. And it's a great way for you not only to convert current subscribers or current buyers, but also get potential new buyers, right? Through referral programs and certain other strategies of getting these people to organically share for you, right? Even like recruiting influencers from your list that have already purchased from you to have some kind of following is a great strategy.
Yeah,
that's a really good point.
Like if you don't have a massive ad budget, like $10,000-$20,000 a month to spend on Facebook ads, this is the perfect thing to buy this email course, get all these sequences built out, and then like Chase just explained, a lot of sales can come through that and a lot of new customers. So
absolutely,
yeah, I'd be doing.
Yeah, one thing to quickly add, and I can't take credit for saying this, but Jimmy Kim, who's the owner of an ESP called Sunlane, and I know they're compliant for CBD and cannabis. They're very open about it and other kind of adult and restricted industries. I've used them a little bit. I personally use Klaviyo a lot more. But Jimmy basically posted on Twitter saying, you can buy Chase's course for $749 one time and own the expertise in-house, or you could pay Chase's agency $5,000 to $7,000 a month.
Exactly.
You choose, right? So with the point of having a limited budget and being a startup, to invest into something like this, I think it's really important because you pay one time for this course and then you pay your monthly bill for your ESP, and it's all based off number of contacts. Outside of that, other than what you're paying your in-house team, like you have no additional costs. Like you don't have to pay $1,000 every time you want to press send. So I think that's really important too, is like own the expertise, do this on a shoestring budget. Don't do it too cheap, don't do it too expensive. Just do what's right for where you're at with right now.
It's one thing that's a much higher cost to do a full service agency deal with you. But on top of that, I mean, Matt knows this, but we most of our ads clients that are especially our most successful, we send them over to Chase. But to even get working with Chase's team, we have an 8-week wait list. Like we just sent over 2 clients, I believe, and January 1st is I think going to be the earliest that we could possibly even start with any of these. And so not even if you had the money, it's this type of knowledge is not really even available to the general audience right now, except through Chase's course. And so that's kind of why I was so shocked when you created it. But it's also, something I really appreciate about Chase, and you were talking about this earlier, Matt, you're such a value first person. That's how me and Matt run. We think that value reciprocates more value. Rather than just trying to like be a slammy marketer, you just focus on driving value, focus on creating value. And when you do that, it creates more value. It's this perpetual abundance compounding thing. And that's, I think, really cool. I'm gonna have 2 questions for you before we wrap up. And then I'm gonna ask you for a special request for our group specifically. So first question, how many clients do you have now, and what percentage of revenue on average is being driven through email?
So currently today, we're working with right about 50 clients. Or typically our clients range from about 1 mil to about 50 mil in annual revenue. And again, typically email will account for about 20 to 30% of that. After clients work with us for about 1 to 2 quarters. Again, this isn't something that happens overnight. It's not something that you're going to do right now and then you're going to have all these results today. It does like anything else take time, right? Like you implement the things today, depending on your list size, you could get results in 3 days, in a week, in a month, in 3 months, right? But it's going to kind of consistently stack and build, and it's going to really print money for you guys as you guys scale, and it feeds itself. So we have 50 clients currently. We've got about 25 people on the team full-time that work for me. And just kind of as a value add to tell people, our team, again, this is for an agency. If you have it in-house, I'll kind of explain the differences. But we have 5 people in every client. So it's an email marketer strategist, right? So in the course, we go through a lot of strategy. It has an email designer, right? So email design is really crucial to the brands that we work with. There are a lot of leading direct consumer and e-commerce brands. So we have a designer. So marketer, designer, copywriter, right? So obviously written words, copy, plain text, all these things are really crucial to getting people to go from consideration to conversion. So that's 3. 4 is an account manager. And the account manager is probably something that you don't need to have if you own your own brand, because you don't work with 6, 8, 10 clients per team. So that's probably one that you can replace, or that could be, the project manager, that could be the email marketer, right? It's pretty easy to own your own stuff internally. And then the last one that we typically have, not always, but most of the time we have, is an email developer, where we'll typically take the designs that we have and kind of custom code them. But again, I think those last 2, the account manager and the developer, those are really more nice to have. They're not a necessity. The people that have a brand and are kind of designing things themselves, you can kind of slice and dice them and build them as modules within your ESP. So essentially you'll have blocks, right? So at the top, you'll have a logo. You just insert the image for the logo. You might have like a header image, right? Insert the header image. You'll then have like a text block, right? A call to action block, right? So if you don't want to have code, or you can't code, or you can't afford someone that can code, you can do without that. So those are typically the 5 people that we have on our team for every given account. So
that's super helpful. That makes a lot of sense. We do something similar. We have a developer, but he's not specifically an email developer. And a lot of his times we don't spend it on. He spends it on the web development front. But I find that with Klaviyo, if you can get a strong designer, or if you can be creative with your design, you can almost get a lot of the benefit of developing just through creative design work. Cool, man. I have one more question and then one more request from you. So the last question I have for you is, can you give us a taste of this course? Like something I think that a lot of people, and I'm sorry to ask this, I know that you just released a course with this information, but I want people to see that we're not bullshitting. I think people really do trust us. I think that we have a very good, honest relationship with our group and our following with this. But I would love for you, if you're willing, to share just something that would be able to help any of these guys going. Maybe something, I think a lot of the brands here, they might be just getting into email marketing. They're saying, what are like the first 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 email sequences that I should set up? Maybe you can give us 2 to 3 email sequences that you would suggest people set up right away. And then I would love to hear if those are covered in your course and if you go into more depth on those.
Absolutely. Do you guys mind if I screenshot? I just pulled up kind of like the course outline and then like the inside.
Absolutely, man. Matt, if you want to make that full screen too for him.
Yeah, and then people that are watching, I'm going to add the link to the course so you can purchase it in all the comments. So just check for that after we finish up.
Awesome.
Here we go.
Sweet. So I'm just going to give you kind of like, this is the inside look at like the course, like once you get in. I'll kind of quickly go through like what's included, and we'll dive into like a few things that you just mentioned, Eric. So obviously background, kind of some info on the course, talking about like different benchmarks of email. If you're 0 to 10%, are you 10 to 20%? Are you 20 to 30%? Are you 30% or more? What does that look like? We go through kind of more stuff around Klaviyo, in particular, the email and how to set it up. I talk through the difference between campaigns and flows. So, this video kind of just explains the difference between the two, just so you guys know. A campaign basically is a one-time send to a group of contacts. So for example, like a Black Friday sale, which is coming up, or a Cyber Monday sale, that's a campaign. Whereas a flow would be like an abandoned cart. So the flow is taking place based off an action or behavior if someone's on your list. So that's like an abandoned cart. I talk about like naming conventions on how you should name things. It's really important to name things properly, so that way you can properly attribute this flow to this revenue and everyone on your team knows. And then talk about like email collection. So it's really important to obviously have forms and pop-ups and flyouts on your guys' website that allow you to collect cold traffic into email subscribers. So I teach you how to build a basic form. I teach you how to build a high converting form. I teach you how to A/B test it. Then we go into flows, right? So Aaron, this is kind of some of the questions you asked about flows. I break it into both core flows on the pre-purchase side, as well as core flows on the post-purchase side. So for example, I might go through 4 different emails of a welcome series for non-buyers. And essentially what the welcome series is, and I kind of mentioned this before, is you have a pop-up or something on your website to collect an email. This will basically deliver on any kind of value proposition that you promise. So 10% off, you've been entered into a giveaway, here's free shipping, right? So you really fulfill on that discount within this first email. And then you'll really focus on kind of educating and nurturing people within these subsequent emails. So I go through kind of tons of examples for a few different brands of what this should look like. Here's some bonus insight on what your open rate should be. Here's some subject lines, etc. So that's the welcome series. I talk about 4 different abandoned flows. Most people don't know about all these. It's a site abandonment, a browse abandonment, an abandoned cart, and an abandoned checkout. Most people only really know about like the abandoned checkout, maybe the browse cart. So I talk through and go through all of these. I actually have 2 videos that no one's ever, I think, really done about how do you actually set up the proper snippets to track these types of things, because the browse abandonment and the abandoned cart, if you're using Klaviyo and Shopify, require you to add custom snippets. So I actually walk you through going into a Shopify store and uploading that, because it's kind of confusing. The site abandonment flow is not one that I've ever seen anyone ever talk about or leverage. And basically what it is someone's already on your list, they're active on your website, but they're not engaged. They don't look at a product, they don't add to their cart, they don't start checkout, and they don't buy. And I have a really kind of funny example that I use for the Chive. Might even be able to pull it up, where essentially what they do is they send this email, because this is kind of creepy. So they basically say to you, what's your favorite quarantine snack? And then depending on which you click, right? So if you click on Lay's, that will then take you to a collection page on their website that shows you t-shirts for drinking, right? So it's kind of really clever, funny things that we do there. Then we go into like post-purchase things like the customer thank you, right? I have a really unique customer thank you. I don't want to give too much away on that one, but it's really helpful for increasing your social proof on advertisements that you're running that will decrease your cost of acquisition. We go through cross-sells, upsells, replenishment flows. A replenishment reminder is extremely important for CBD and cannabis in particular. That allows people to get automatic reminders every month when they're about to run out of their product. That reminds them to repurchase every 4 weeks, every 6 weeks, depending on what you set up. By the way, guys,
I'm awesome, man.
I'm going pretty deep into this, so apologies.
No, I really appreciate you giving all this value. I mean, guys, if you have no, the fact that Chase is giving away as much as he's giving away for free right now is nuts, and I very much appreciate it, man. It shows who you are, a value first person. Guys, this is like the most unique course that you can get. I think Matt just went ahead and published the link to it as well.
Yeah, I'll put the right link in there. I put the wrong one, but I'll put it in there now.
Oh, there. I think I see it now in there. But yeah, exactly. So guys, I highly recommend checking this out. $749 is crazy price for all this information. There's never been a course with this much information. Not just extremely valuable information that's actively working in the market right now, but like the most cutting edge information in email marketing right now. And bro, I really appreciate you sharing all that.
Yeah, just to quickly round it out. So sorry, I stopped screen sharing, but I go through 12 different campaigns that stores should be sending. Things like, free plus purchase, right? A product launch, buy now, pay later, a holiday email. Talk about, and then 2 videos on segmentation. You should segment your list, which is really important. That allows you to have really healthy open rates and really strong deliverability. I talk about segmentation Q1 through Q3, as well as key segments for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And then I go through tons of helpful tips and best practices. How do you integrate kind of a countdown timer? And why should you do that? How do you make your contacts smarter? how do you basically take a finished design and actually build it modularly into your ESP? So there's tons of cool stuff. And then I actually uploaded 2 more bonus videos. So the content itself, the core course is 4.5 hours across 49 videos. I actually uploaded 2 more videos. One was a presentation I gave at like a paid conference. It was a 30-minute presentation where I go through tons of things. I think people had to pay hundreds of dollars to hear me and a couple other people speak. You get that included in the course. And then every single month, I just field questions on social media, and I'll go through for like an hour at a time and just answer questions. So I answered 19 questions. It's 55 minutes, both on how do you set up an email agency, how do you do this for your email brand, etc. So really long-winded. That's the course. I'm super excited. So apologies for rambling.
No, not rambling at all, man. This is pure gold.
Yeah, and one of the things I saw on your Facebook, Chase, is that the CEO of Zappos bought the course. So if that can tell you something, then I don't know what, because they're so good at exemplary at showing the customer love, like more than any company pretty much. Like Zappos is known for their customer service. So for that CEO to buy your course, I mean, that's like, come on.
Next level validation.
Yeah, just to clarify, so the original founder, who his name was Nick, he was the one that brought in Tony as the CEO. Nick was the one that bought the course. He actually subscribed to my newsletter. He bought the course, and I was just like, holy smokes, like what is happening? And he's a partial like owner of the Golden State Warriors and like a big soccer team. So just to clarify,
so wild.
Nick was the founder who has since exited. I think they exited for like $1 billion, and he started tons of other successful companies. It's Nick, not Tony, just to clarify.
Okay, I thought it was. Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, still just as impressive.
Yeah,
totally.
So that's
it. All right, so here's my request, Jason. I know we've already asked a lot for you just to be here and give such valuable information, but we try to anytime we bring in someone from an outside world of marketing into our group, we try to give some special offer to our guys specifically. Is there anything that you can offer to our guys, whether it be just a small discount or anything, even if it was just 10% off? Is there anything that you could offer for us?
Yeah, so bless you, Matt. One interesting thing that we've been testing with our clients is like $1 off. Before we're doing a lot of % off, we're now trying $1 off.
Okay.
It's like $100 off. Is that reasonable? Is that fair?
$100 off the course?
Yeah, so it'd be essentially $649 instead of $749.
Buy your course. I mean, that's like, come on. Oops. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
That's
I'll make as soon as I'll even do it now because my screen's not sure. I'll go on the back end and make the code. Was it going to be CBD 100? Cool.
Yeah, CBD 100. That's awesome, bro. First off, I want a refund so then I can get the $100 off as well.
Well, I'm charging you $100 more now since we're giving $100 off.
Yeah, right. Pay for everyone else. Okay. All right, guys, this is crazy. $100 off. I appreciate that, Jason.
100 people.
Exceptional offer.
Yeah, I'm going to make it live right now.
Matt, can you put that code in there?
Yeah, I'll add it in there. It's just like it went live when I tried to add the comment for some reason.
You guys rock. Chase, you rock. I really appreciate you doing this. And guys, please do not share this code with outside this group. So this is for our group only, CBD Business Success and Accelerated. Chase is already discounting this course crazy amount. We don't want everybody to have this offer. So this is for you guys only. Chase, we really appreciate that, man. Really do.
Oh, thank you guys.
No, thanks, man.
All right, cool. I'm gonna. I think that's probably a wrap for this one. Me and my team are going through the full course. We're about done with it, and I'm gonna post a testimonial later in the week that kind of explain, or not later this week. I guess it'd be next week. And then Matt, I know you're also going through it. So as we finish these up, we're gonna do some testimonials, and so you'll see a little bit more about this over the next week, guys. But highly recommend it. CBD 100, that will get you $100 off the course. $649, which is a crazy price. $749, which is a standard price, is a crazy price for the material you'd be getting in this course. It's email marketing and CBD. It's hard enough. You know how hard we work to do Facebook and compliance, Facebook and Instagram ad compliance. This doesn't have compliance issues. This can be started right away, right now. Any of your brands, you can set up these flows and get it flowing. So Chase, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the discount. Guys, do not share that discount outside of this group. We appreciate you, man. We really do.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye.